So that was like big back in the day. And
Oh yeah,
I
massive.
kept like, I think after Big Bang or something like that, I came back for a few days and I was just, you know, it seemed like people just told me, hey, you gotta get an X and you gotta buy cubes, and you didn't have any way of getting anything good without it, so I just quit. And now I heard of Reboot and really like the concept. So
Yeah, if
yeah,
Reboot wasn't here, I wouldn't be here either.
yeah, man, that's such a good thing for the game, really.
Yeah. I mean, it brought a lot of people back. A lot of people who left because of the, I mean, essentially pay to win, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't have problem like paying to a game or to a subscription or something like that. Like, I'm glad to help a game that I want, but to make it as something that you must do in order to actually get to end the game, let's say, that's something I just can't.
Yeah, I think eventually people pay way more for a free-to-play game where it's optional than one where you feel like you have to, otherwise you can't keep playing.
Yeah, like, I made this funny mistake. Like, I had my instead of buying the Stella Pass, I bought one stamp for 3K.
Oh,
so I was like, oh fuck, what am I gonna do? And I've just seen on the cash shop that you can buy Maple points, and I was like, I might as well just do that, because yeah, so it's really nice for the game to have this option.
Yeah, it used to exist in non-reboot already, but then you had to do it in, you had to make like on the same account a character non-reboot, buy it there, and then you would be able to use the Maple points in both servers. But yeah, if you buy just one pass, then yeah, you have too much. I think someone chat did the same thing where they did like Maple Tour one time extra for 300, and then you get just under the 20k,
shit.
and then you have to.
Yeah, wow, that sucks, man. I was like, at the beginning, I thought there is no way to get more, and I was like, oh shit, what am I gonna do?
Yeah,
and
it's pretty exclusive to events other than NX,
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get started.
Yeah, let's go.
So we could hopefully get a dub before by MMT, because I don't know, I'll have to double check. I don't know if my mom needs help as well, so hopefully we can get it done. If anyone can reach out in game to my mom to check what she's done for MMT and if she still needs help, so I have that information already, that would be nice. Okay, so you are now playing a dual blade.
Yeah.
And you're already in the best guild. That's good. Right? You don't even need to look around for that anymore. How are you enjoying the game now? What do you enjoy? What are you trying to achieve? Tell me a little bit.
Okay, so basically, I really like just feeling my progression. Like, it sounds very generic, I guess, but I like being able to do things that I haven't done before. So I think my goal for like the game in general is to be able to do more and more of the end game bosses, and to really like make a progress with bossing, because the first time I killed Chaos Zakum was for me a big achievement, and Pink Bean, like every time it's just really fun to make this advancement. So that's like, I think, what I will most likely do the most.
So those are like your benchmarks, right? Like which is the next boss you can do, how quickly you can do a boss maybe compared to the first time, something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So and that's basically.
And what's the hardest thing you've killed so far, and what's the next one that you're aiming for?
Right now it's Wood Abyss, and I didn't yet manage to solo the queen. I had someone carrying me like the last day before reset, so I will manage to have enough money for the DMT. But generally I don't get carried a lot, also because I'm playing in Europe, which is not as populated, and I don't like, begging or putting weight on a party. So mostly I do my own content, and I also like it that way.
Okay.
Yeah. But now, because of DMT, like, I actually got carried, and it was okay.
Just to have the pieces so you can upgrade them later, maybe. Yeah.
More like to get the crystals to have the
crystals. I see.
Yeah, because like now I'm standing at 2.3 bill, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think now Chaos Through the Abyss is the hardest thing that I've done.
You have, yeah. So and have you soloed any of them or like done any?
Yeah,
in a
I've
party?
soloed Pierre and Von Bon.
Okay.
Velum I can't really
Okay.
touch, and the Queen I still need to work my mechanics because I'm a melee and staying on top of it is not that easy.
Yeah, so people can up jump. If you have a up jump, you can. You don't, but you didn't get one, right? You have the up slash thing. But
yeah, I have only the slash skill.
Yeah, so you have to like kite it basically, which mainly for the first form and for the well, for all the forms except maybe no, for all of the forms is annoying. Yeah.
It's not that nice.
Yeah.
I was one like when maybe I don't know if I got carried. Like I did it with someone who's even lower stat than me, but he was a paladin, so
yeah, you could tank everything. Yeah.
Yeah, he could just tank the Queen and make me.
And the 50% IED from Threaten is really big. Gives you a lot of extra damage output on it.
Probably I didn't even know I got it, but yeah, we felt kind of stronger.
Yeah, and you can make you and him together both immune for 30 seconds, so you could just attack.
Yeah, that's big for a dual blade. That's just huge. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it. What do you want to say?
That's it. No, like that's it about the bosses and the content that now I'm doing.
Okay, so Queen and Velum is next.
Pink Bean I can do and all the easiest stuff.
Well, yeah, Chaos Pink Bean, Hard Hilla, like Princess Snow. Have you done any of those?
Princess Snow, not yet. Like I had in mind that it's just not for my current state, but I think it's
yeah, those are like the next ones, right? That are gonna be pretty close, especially once you get the full CRA and then get the upgrade going.
Yeah. So now I have like my necessary gear from CRA because I got the Absol up, so I'm only missing the weapon from Velum. But I think if I have the fake Absol, then no, not a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so cool. And so yeah, so it's generally like basically just one boss at a time, general progression, not really any kind of end game in mind. You'll just see how far you get.
I don't have like a specific goal because also I don't really know what to expect.
Yeah, how long it takes
as time go, because also like now I had a bit of time, but I'm starting a new job, which is not gonna be like too bad. Like it's gonna leave me some time for myself, but still, now I think my main goal is to actually know how to spend my time the most efficient way, because I have really no idea. I just started like 2 weeks ago, maybe.
I see. Yeah, to kind of keep everything organized. Okay. And you already finished with Tsava?
Yeah, I finished.
Okay.
Like a few months ago.
This is your first job after that.
Yeah, but I mean I've done the army like for extra almost 2 years as a job.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
You're like a general now, Mr.
Not general, but yeah, gave some extra time. Was okay.
Okay. And then Prirot soon, right?
Yeah, but you know,
every 6 months
already. Yeah, exactly. It's nothing that you can really.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Okay, so we'll take that one step at a time. Go through all the screenshots and everything. Keep that in mind. Mainly time management stuff. Your first screenshot, I see you have 100% uptime, 70% uptime. What is the distinction there? Is that your final cut or what is
yeah, like the blade clone and the buffs from the VMatrix that are, you know. Oh, these are actually one. Yeah, but the epic adventure.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay.
I can keep them up, like if I know that I'm gonna burst or something. So.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, but like the final cut is at 100%, right? And then hopefully you get more buff duration at some point to keep it up even longer, and then you can use it a little bit as an iframe as well. Is usually the goal.
Yeah. I usually use it as an iframe right now, unless it's like I'm just entering in order to burst the boss that I'm already like ahead of. Like when I go to Zakum, I just use it for the damage, for example.
Yeah, sure. Okay. All right. Cool. So do you have a list of questions that you want to make sure that we get through, other than just the time management?
I think like IED is something that I want to know. Like some people tell me, "Oh, no, you're dual blade. It's no big deal. You get a lot of base like with your burst, and you don't need it." But on the other end, like when I do CRA and I get to Velum, which has more ID, more
PDR, yeah.
Yeah, more EDR, then I can feel that,
Yeah.
The difference was big. And now, I mean, it's still big, and I've already done like my Luminous to 140. So.
Okay, nice.
And still it feels big.
Like a big difference, you mean, between the two?
Yeah, so to really know, like, is it really that Velum is so much harder than the others, or do I really...
Yep. Well, Velum is quite a bit harder. He has way more HP, of course. And the main thing with Velum, especially in the beginning of the boss fight, the first half, is that he's just not targetable most of the time, right? Like Funbon teleports around, but he's pretty much there. Clown, has like has like the switching mechanic that's can be a bit annoying. But if you're the opposite hat, you do double damage, so that compensates for it. Queen is there all the time, so you can hit her all the time, but she also does a lot of attacks and has a lot of mechanics, so it takes longer to get used to how that boss fight works, right? And then Velum is just not hittable half the time, or more than half the time for the first half of the boss fight. So it's very normal that sometimes you will be over half of the time of the boss, but only just at the half of the HP, but that means you can still kill him, because in the second half he'll do... mainly like the sucking in air and blowing the lasers from the side of the map, and the green poison near like the 60% HP left mark, where he stays up way longer, and then where you can do more damage. But it's more challenging to do the damage because there's a lot of attacks going on, right? There's rocks falling, there's tails, there's poison on the ground, and poison falling, and you have to dodge all of these things appropriately to be able to keep doing damage, and that can be very tricky. And well, because of all the combination, and then up top of that, the 3-door bosses have 100% PDR, and Cvel has 200%. Cvel used to have 300%, which made him even bigger of a difference between the other ones, right? But now it's only 200. So the base things on ID and how it works is that how much ID you have ignores that percentage of the PDR of the boss, right? So let's say that you always have, let's say 70% ID, and the boss has 100% PDR. That means 70% of their damage, which is 70% of 100%, gets ignored, and you're left with 30%. So that 30% becomes a final damage penalty. So however much damage you would deal, let's say you would hit, and you would hit 10 mil damage, instead it would hit 7 mil only, because of the PDR of the boss. Now, if the boss has 200%, then the reduction is double. So you ignore 70% of the 200%, which is 140, so that leaves 60%. So now instead of hitting 10 mil, you only hit 4 mil. So you will feel on a higher PDR boss that your damage goes down a lot. Of course, you want to get that chunk of damage reduction as low as possible, but you don't want to go to 100%. You probably played other video games, right, like League, where penetration is like very important, but you have no damage to back up the penetration, then nothing happens. But if you only have damage and no penetration, then also nothing happens. So it's all about finding the sweet spot, basically. Exactly. So specifically with IED and then with Dual Blade being a little bit of an exception there, is the thing I always talk about is visual and functional IED. So visual, I would say, is what you see in your stat window. So that would be your 68.6 in this example. And your functional would be like, regardless of what attack you use, and regardless of what target you hit, what your actual applied on-hit IED is. Because that can be very different. Certain skills can have their own built-in IED, base amounts of IED, which a lot of your skills do, right, as a dual blade. Sometimes hyper skills have extra bonuses. Sometimes skills have 100% built in, which also some of yours do. And sometimes you can debuff the boss, which means that every hit on the boss applies less as well. But your stat window can't reflect any of these. So it's very important to know the distinction between, what IED am I looking for on hit versus what am I looking for in my stat window. So specifically, people who play the same class as you can tell you, like, well, basically, you know, if you're at this stage of the game, if you're at like 70, you're okay, and at that stage of the game, if you're like at 80, you're okay, and in the end game, if you're at 90, you're okay, for example, for dual blade, and that'll probably be lower than other classes might say or might hear, because they probably just heard from someone, oh, just get to 93 for Vellum, and then just get to 95 or something for Lotus and Damien, or for Lucid and everything, because that all has 300% PDR. So yeah, you don't want to stay functionally at like around 80% if you're doing 300% PDR bosses, right? Because then you're getting 60% damage reduction, which means that all of your efficiency of all of the upgrading you're doing is basically just cut in half. So you'll just have to swim against the current way faster. So the main way that you can kind of check, so I have !ID command. The first one is like a video where I try to explain this and give like the mathematical example. And then the second one is a calculator that you can use to put in all the sources. It's probably a good idea, if you've never done this before, just to try to reconstruct your visual IED with all the sources that you know. And you can use this third thing, which is the sources, to kind of go one by one through everything and see if you can basically make it so that if I just take some away, if we get close to 68.6 or something. Okay, well, that wasn't good. Wowee. 20. Well, okay. Close. If you can reconstruct this. And then from then on out, go with the functional. So the dangerous thing with the functional is that sometimes people are like, oh, my boost nodes are level 40. That gives me 20% IED built in. Now I'll just add 20. Even though that's true for that skill, it'll depend on how much of your damage is coming from that skill, whether you can count it, right? Because if a certain skill gets 20 extra IED, but that skill only represents like 10% of your total damage, you can't really act as if though you have 20% all the time for everything, right? That would just not be a realistic scenario. However, for you, all of your important skills all have 30% based in IED, and 2 of your really big skills have 100%, right?
Yeah.
So that means you can at least put in 30 and then still kind of be on the lowish end of how much you're aiming for when you're looking at the progression grid here, which keeps track of the stats, and then see what IED you're looking for. So you want to be at least like 85 functional, probably going towards 90 if you're doing Vellum and above. So that means that if you can do the calculator and get yourself functionally with an extra 30%, built in from your skills, your important skills, and you can get close to 90, then you're probably chilling. Not chilling as in you wouldn't get more damage if you go higher, because you would, but chilling as in at this point it's probably okay, and if you go too high over, it's possible that you're getting too much in the way of other important stats like attack, like boss damage, and so on.
Yeah, so diminishing returns, like I will have to invest a lot to actually see.
Yeah, it's not as much. Well, there is diminishing returns, but since there is 300% PDR on the late game bosses, it is still very important, right? So let's say you have 90% IED, 300% PDR boss, you have 30% reduction, right? Let's say you go from 90 to 91%, which would mean a 10% line. Now you immune 91%, so now it's only 27%. So now instead of doing 90% of your damage, 70% of your damage, you do 73% of your damage. Which means 3% on 70 is this is a bad example, 1/23, something like that, right? So that's like a little bit more than 4% final damage, actually, that you're gaining for just 1% IED. So it is still very efficient to go up in IED, but it's more the comparative advantage of like how much total damage do you gain from this IED versus how much total damage would you gain from other sources, because all the other sources also have diminishing returns, right? Most of the other ones. So everyone is dealing with diminishing returns. So it's more like comparative advantage between the sources on where the optimization is. And that's why the progression grid tries to keep track of those numbers, so you know that you're not completely, out of there. And it also means if you're doing with a paladin or a zero or someone that you know can do a big debuff on the boss, that it's okay to be a bit lower on the IED, because your effective damage output is still going to be good.
Yeah.
That all make sense?
Yeah, that I could feel while bossing with the paladin here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think IED is clear.
Okay. And the sources and everything, where you get it, because I think early on, and you did say you didn't know much about familiars, right? That's also where early on the IED
like
can get from.
I just like 1 hour ago I locked my first badge, and I started like I already knew that I have to gather and collect all the rare familiars. So when leveling my mules, I just kept the rare ones to transfer it for my main. So like I already have a bunch like ready to be opened. So I might be able to already find something good.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yes, and I just got my second slot, so I thought after this session I could really know better what I need. Because right now I thought that ID is something that I need for sure, but maybe there is something that I just don't know that is better for me at the moment.
Well, it's a good segue because now that goes back into like that comparative advantage, right? Because it's like, okay, a stat is good, but is it better than something else you can do, right? Like what is the individual value of a thing? And early on, your familiar slots really only have a few things that they can do. They can give you drop rate and they can give you IED, and that's it. So one is specifically really good for mobbing, and the other one definitely not for mobbing. So if you're mobbing and you have some kind of drop rate, that's what you want to prioritize. If you're bossing, then you want to prioritize the IED because that will make your damage go up a lot. Plus, you can also just switch familiars near the end if you want to. And then switch to the drop rate familiar if you think that's necessary.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's nothing else. There's very few other things that can give you ID at this point that have a similar level of comparative advantage. Because where are the other sources where you get IED is like your lines on your WSE, right? And that directly cuts into attack and boss damage. That's very pricey. The other place where you can get a lot of IED,
Legion.
Is Legion, Link's Legion, combination, and the set bonus specifically of Gollux. So for most people that don't have as much built-in IED as you, and so that goes for if you play any other characters, is early on you definitely want those familiars, but most likely you get 1 or 2 lines of IED on either your weapon, secondary, or emblem, or rely more heavily on the Legion to make sure that you can get to the IED that everyone else is getting, that everyone is trying to get to. You're just getting like an easier time early on getting to those metrics, so you can go harder on damage, so you can progress faster early on, kill the bosses faster, and then get to the point where you can switch over more easily. But then, after a while, everyone catches up. But I think as a dual blade, you kind of get like a early start because of that high crit rate and high IED.
Yeah, so also about the crit rate, I wanted to ask, like, people told me that in the future I might not get hit by bosses before bursting or something like that.
Yeah.
And that I will need to get it higher. But
same thing with IED. So the sources where you can get, the comparative advantage will lower and lower and lower as you go on, because there'll be more sources where things are available. And at that point, you will go towards a higher crit rate, and you will go towards a higher IED that gets pretty close to where other people are, just because you get way more sources, and now you have more opportunities and less costly sources that basically everyone taps into. And the same thing will happen for crit rate. Like you said, one of the big examples is like Lotus, right? You don't want to have to dodge the Lotus laser to get crit rate. That's really spooky, right? And at that point, it's going to be just a small... Because look at what happens, for example, with your hyperstats, right? In the beginning, your hyperstats, you have almost no points, and you can get so much from them, so you want to optimize. But then once you get like level 10, level 11 on stuff, and you're like, oh, I'm low on crit rate, you could just put like 6 or 7 points in crit rate and not even think about it. But that's like, that's like 7-9% critical rate that you can just get out of there. So at a certain point, all of those points together from 1 to 7 is going to be less than like from 12 to 13 on one other stat. So at that point, it becomes way more ideal to just make sure that you always hit a crit in case something could go wrong, right? Versus getting like 3% more boss damage when your total damage and boss damage together is like 600% or something. Because there you get the diminishing returns. But on the crit, there's still a good safety net to build up with that.
Yeah.
But that's quite a lot further.
I get it.
But it's good to not have to worry about it so early on, because for everyone else, it's like, oh shit, where do I get my crit? Where do I get my IED? And a dual blade does have easier time early on.
Yeah. That's also like, you can see I have two. I have the bossing one and the mobbing one. And on the mobbing, I didn't even think about getting my crit rate, because it's nothing. It's at 100%, no matter what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's great.
For my bossing, I didn't really know if to put 5 yet or no, because I didn't really feel like I have hard time dodging the bosses now.
Up to 5 is never a problem. Yeah, it's always very cheap. I'd probably go for IED from now on. Just save up for the next IED, just to get it a bit higher, right? Because it scales well, and also because it's way cheaper than the other ones that you might want to do, because the other ones are already at 10. So it makes more sense to just go from IED from now on. But this build looks totally fine, yeah.
Okay, nice.
And for the mobbing one, yeah, it's as long as you prioritize being able to kill, and you can do that, then you can put the rest in bonus EXP. If you're really, really, really strong in your area, right, because you have way more than enough arcane power or whatever, then you want to prioritize bonus EXP first, and then just, you know, slam stats. But at that point, you could be like 15% bonus EXP, and everything else leave it on 0, and you would still one-shot, you know? But you're just kind of adding it to make sure that you can kill the elites faster, or, you know, that you don't accidentally... lose, because you don't have like you don't have particle effects, right? As a dual blade, you don't have a bunch of things flying around that's pretty weak that finishes monsters off. But classes who do need to make sure they min-max all their damage so that those things that are flying around, those particles, can also kill things.
Yeah.
But you got the right
dual
stats.
blading is
Yeah.
just feels so bad for mobbing. Yeah. At certain maps. So
yeah, they take a you need the fit of the map needs to fit the AoE of your skills, right? And then it's pretty good if you can hit all the platforms.
yeah.
But if it doesn't, then yeah. Well,
I
they
mean, two
really
skills.
shine.
The blade and the tornado is nice, but it's like it has some cooldown. So you need to find a map where you can do both.
Yeah, that's also why dual blades really pretty early on like going for cooldown reduction on hats, because it allows you to use the skills more often.
Yeah, I'm waiting for DMT to try and get some.
Yeah, I hope you can get that. They really shined very quickly in Cernium and Burning Cernium, where a lot of other characters might need a lot of damage to go there. Dual blades with the giant AoEs can just kill them, right? Because those individual hits are so high. And then if you have cooldown reduction on the hats, they can move on there pretty early on, and kind of a lot of people will be jealous because they just can't kill there yet. And then dual blades can get a big head start. But of course, unless you have your familiars, a lot of people don't want to leave Limina for Cernium. It's a lot of extra experience, but no more runes, way less money. Sorry, still runes, but no more cards and way less money. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask about the Arcane Force that I got in my Hyperstat. Like, is it something that for the mobbing, is needed? Because does it cap like at 50%?
Yes, 50% over the monster requirement in the map. Yeah.
So, like, I think I'm aiming to be able to go to Revelation 3. Because this is like one map that is great for dual blade, I guess.
Yep.
And I will be able to go to I guess 230 in it.
I mean 220 you can already enter in Lachaline, right?
Yeah, but I mean to level all the way to 230.
Oh yeah, that's what you mean. Yeah, for sure. And
yeah,
it's 210. It's 210 map requirement, so we're 315. You're already doing max, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I don't even need the points in the arcane power because now I have nothing. Okay, yeah, so I didn't know it. I just recently I've seen one of the videos and I figured out that I might be like over what I need.
Yeah, a little bit over. Again, like it's probably one of those things where you probably keep like 4, 5, 6 points because that's pretty cheap. And then if you go to a new area, you don't have to redo it every single time. But 10 is a bit on the high end, which is specifically very nice early on, but once you get the symbols going, and especially if you have a bunch of events with extra symbols and maybe event shops, then
the events and the burning.
Exactly. Then you can definitely keep up with the levels, and you don't really have to put as much in the power, and you can go a little bit higher on the bonus EXP, and maybe level a little bit faster. Yeah.
Okay.
All the little bits help when it comes to EXP.
Yeah, like I'm close to one-shotting, so that's something that I really want. Like, I hope maybe after
normal monster
after the
damage.
DMT, I could do.
Oh yeah, that'll give you enough damage probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So.
So if you look at your stat window, I guess the only other thing that I want to mention is the inner ability.
Yeah. Wow, man! I literally saved everything for the discount. And it was just
nothing.
I didn't get any luck at all. So yeah, I was like once in the stream, like you asked how it's going, and I was like, yeah, man, I got 37 luck,
Yay.
I might as well keep it. Because I
Unfortunate.
was spending, I don't know how much it was. Like, I don't even know because I was sure I'm gonna roll something that I needed, but ended up like with nothing in the end.
No meso, no boss damage, no buff duration,
Nothing.
nothing. No. That's unfortunate.
I had like epic low end buff duration,
Yeah.
but without legendary line, I said no, I just can't keep it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna just need to be patient now until the next sale.
I mean, it's probably at this point it's probably okay to skip like the next 2, 3, 4 sales. I mean, I think what I would advise is if you're planning to like go up in that way, it's probably still to, well, first, you know, MMT, and then probably a Star Force event, and then probably after that to look towards circulators to just roll a good line on a top one.
Yeah.
Just to get either Mesoptane, you know, if you get boss damage, it's probably going to be pretty tempting to keep it. But Mesoptane is really, really valuable because you're just going to get to your final destination where you want to get just faster.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if there is an event, locking Mesoptane and then trying to get some drop, like some epic drop on the other two, that's probably good enough. If you get some buff duration, that would also be nice, of course. So you just have 2 workable lines. And then you basically just save honor experience until you have like 2 or 3 mil or something. And then you go and circulate for that 38% buff duration on second or third line. And then you lock that and reroll for the other stuff, which I believe is boss and probably attack or damage to debuffed, something like that.
Yeah, I checked the page and.
Yeah, the how to get there is almost more important than knowing what you're getting to, right?
Yeah, but seems to me like honor goes up very slow, and maybe there is a source that I don't really know.
In the beginning, you get a lot from just leveling and stuff. So you get to like 300k very quickly, and it feels like you have a lot of honor and you can just like splurge. But you only get that in the beginning, and after that, it's really slow. Yeah, the main sources. So once you get more drop rate gear, you'll get a lot more honor just from training because those little honor medals will just drop from monsters.
Yeah.
Once you do more bosses, you get a lot from that. The main other sources, I would say, is event shops. They have honor medals. And the dojo shop as well. If you do dojo weekly and you can get it to top 70% and get a good score, you can also buy honor experience in the dojo shop. That's more like, you know, if you know you're going for long term and maybe, you know, you went a little bit too deep on the honor and you need to catch up a little bit, those last 2 sources can be good to make sure that you can catch up in a timely manner and you don't have to wait like 2 years until you can get a better inner ability.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but I guess circulators are something that I should look into.
Yeah, you're basically buying honor EXP with them in the short term, right?
Yeah, especially if I'm only looking for like the legendary line at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you can always hold the previous one with the circulator, with the regular circulator as well, so you don't have to be scared that you roll over.
I don't think that's the case now.
No, not right now, no. But like if you buy 10 circulators, for example, and you hit a boss damage, you can roll into it, but then still keep rolling. And then if you don't end up rolling something better, then you can hold that for a while. Because like with circulators specifically, but with most other things, make sure that you always set like a budget of how much you're willing to spend. And don't just be like, I'm just going to roll everything. Because like with honor as well, sometimes it's good to say, okay, I have 300k honor, I'm going to roll 200k. I'm going to keep like a little bit of a buffer. And then, you know, it can suck that you didn't get anything, but then on the positive side, you'd be like, well, but at least, you know, I set my boundary, I kept some, and I still have 100,000 and not at exactly 0, so I can always have something left for a rainy day.
Yeah.
And just, yeah, I think that's a good habit to get into, because the game just wants you to, you know, to donkey roll everything, right, and spend everything immediately, because that's the most inefficient for you, so that means that they get you to play as much as possible.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. So yes. So interoperability makes sense. Crit rate makes sense. IED makes sense. Familiars make sense.
Familiars, I think. I just got my second slot, and I'm just gonna open it. I pretty much know that I really need, like you said, either IED or item drop rate.
Yeah.
So I have it in mind, but then when it comes to the rest of the things that I've seen, like leveling them and things like that, I think not really sure like when I would get to do these things and like.
Sure.
still
Yeah,
not
we can
very
kind
clear.
of we kind of like place them in like the progression so that you don't feel like you're missing out and that you know when to prioritize it better in your time, right? So this is mostly if you are actively killing monsters that actively drop them, like when you're on totems and you have your drop rate gear and everything, and you can get like hundreds of them. That's when you want to start to think about advancing them, about ranking them up. So ranking them up is two parts. So one is leveling and then one is fusing. So leveling is just having them summoned and kill monsters near your level. That gives them EXP, and they have to be max level 5 to be able to be ranked up in the first place. And then they also have to be fusion, and fusion bar also has to be full. So typically you just take the rare familiars of whatever area you're in and where you're getting familiars, and then you select one or two. Ideally you have one drop rate familiar, and then if you have 2 slots, one that you're leveling, and if you have 3 slots, you can level 2 at the same time. And then when they're leveled, you can switch them out for new ones because you're going to need to make a lot of them. Typically it's like 15 to 20 minutes to level 1 to level 5. And then they're probably rare, so you need to get 100. You need to fuse them 100, so that means either 100 rares 100 commons or 50 rares, or a combination of the two to get the bar full. So if they're max level and they're completely full, you can try to rank them up and you have 80% chance of getting them to epic. If it fails, the bar goes down half, so you have to do an extra 50 points. And if it goes up, then you can reveal them just like any other familiar. And then you just do that to try to get large drop rate familiar. And then once you have that one, then you can keep going and make the epics into uniques and then look for IED, boss damage, high numbers, large healing, that kind of stuff. But that first step is basically going to be, the earliest that's going to be is in Asphera if you're at the spiders. So mostly like in your 240s most likely when you're really killing well over there. Or if you go into Moonbridge into like VC3, so that's like 245 and up.
Yeah, okay, so still some time until really getting into leveling.
Yeah, and a lot of that is also doing while you're training, right? So it's just something that you just regularly switch familiars while you're training, and you just make sure that you have good drop rate by then. But other than that, it's not something that you're really going out of your way to taking time to do.
Yeah, so I will need like good drop rate, like lines in order to be able to level my familiars, right?
Not to level them, right? To level them, you just have to out, but to rank them up, you need a lot of cards to be able to fuse them. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why typically if you know that you're going to be training for a long time and you're going to be pushing far, once your weapon secondary and emblem is like in a good position, then the next potential I would work on is always going to be your accessories to try to get the drop and the meso rolling. The drop definitely to get your nodes rolling, the meso rolling just to make more money. And to be able to, fund your whole account, and also to be able to start saving for when the big Starforce expenses come, when you're going from like 11 or 12 all the way up to 17. That's pretty expensive. So you need more time anyway to kill bosses for a while and to get backups for equips, and you can use that time to invest into your accessories first, start making more money while you're training, and then when an event comes around and you've had time to get backups, now you also had time to make money, and now you can throw those together, and now you have more options. Now maybe you can roll and equip without safeguarding and just see if it works, because if it works you save a lot of money, right? And if you have backups, then that's on average a cheaper way to do it. In the beginning, if you don't have the money, you're investing directly into the equips, directly into Starforce. You don't have backups yet, now you have to safeguard. Now it gets very expensive. Plus, once you have those, you've set your time back of how long you have to earn your money back that you invested in your drop and your meso gear. Because now instead of it getting it around level 225 or something, now you're getting it around level 235. So if you end up only playing until, like level 250 or 255, now you've lost 10 levels of earning that money back.
Yeah.
And you kind of slow down how quickly you progress through the stages. So, I mean, I haven't looked at everything exactly yet, but I'm assuming you're at the stage where we can probably kind of like finish up on where your weapon secondary and emblem is at and start looking towards the accessories is what I'm guessing. Because you're approaching that 225, right?
Yeah, I thought that I should, like, for now, stop, because it was really frustrating not to one-shot the mobs, and I said maybe after DMT I will have like some better time. So I was like working on my Legion because it was very, very low.
And when you say not one-shotting, which do you mean, like the regular attacking skills? Because your 5th job skills just nuke everything.
No, the 5th job, of course, it nukes, but like to sustainably, just spam a button and actually one-shotting mobs efficiently. Yeah, so jumping around and just waiting for my 5th job skills it was not that nice.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's like 8 seconds and 10 seconds, so yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be nice. Yeah, so a lot of times it might be a bit tricky, and it might feel like you can't really go into the accessories yet because you might actually be losing a little bit of power, and then you lose the kill speed. But the main thing where the kill speed needs to come from is the WSE and is your arcane power, which you're already on top of, and your like your symbols, right? And like the nodes. That's where a lot of your damage needs to come from early on, and it's gonna come from that very quickly because it's final damage, and there's no diminishing returns on final damage. So that's gonna start scaling pretty hard, because every single other upgrade you do is gonna scale with that final damage from those sources. As long as you can keep the arcane power up and you can keep leveling the boost nodes. That's why like Event Shop, if you can buy boost nodes there, that's always very, very high value.
Yeah, I almost finished the boost nodes now from the Starlight one.
Okay, good. Just to double check, Familiars is good now? We can...
Yeah. Familiar is good. We can go.
Yeah, because I'm assuming if you look at the progression grid, right, you're kind of like at this... you're at this point, right, where you're like starting off with the boost nodes, getting the skill nodes, and of course, yeah, it's a really big jump here from 210 to 240, from having pretty much nothing to having them almost... At least having the boost nodes almost done, like both at level 15 at least, and then like the skill nodes around level 5 or 6. I guess that gets us into the VMatrix, right? Did you have any questions specifically about the VMatrix?
Yeah. I think I made like small mistakes along the way, like earlier on. I had in mind that I have to get myself one perfect 2 sets of tri-nodes for bossing and one perfect for mobbing, and now I know that it's maybe not the best choice. But my thinking was I need one node with the Asura's Anger, Blade Clone, and Phantom Blow. Like I thought these are the 3 I need for bossing, so I have to look for two of these sets with different top, and then go for different ones for mobbing. So I was like really waiting for the perfect ones, and so I like passed some of the other skills that maybe now I know that I want to invest also.
Like the second trio, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, you're
So,
actually, if I look at your boost nodes now, you're actually in a perfect situation.
Yeah, I mean, now I only need to find another good node with Asura Anger, I think, to have 2 tri-nodes that has it, because this is very big damage for the bossing.
For bossing, yeah.
Yeah, so I have like the combination. I can get it to have my Blade Fury, Phantom Blow, and Blade Clone along with Asura all maxed with 3 tri-nodes. And to have 1 extra level on Sudden Raid. This is the extra slot.
The Blade Fury one is eventually gonna reroll, right?
I mean, probably when I'm bossing, yeah.
So ideally, so if you're starting off, every single node slot is very valuable, right? Especially in the beginning, because every single slot where you're boosting an existing skill means you cannot at the same time equip a new skill. And the new skills, typically even just at level 1, right, with nothing boosted into it, are super strong, right? They give you so much damage. And therefore, if you're going to be boosting stuff, you always want to occupy... The efficiency on the boost nodes has to be very high. Like if you can ever choose to put a level 1 boost node somewhere, or you can put a skill node in, it's almost always going to be the skill node, right? There has to be a very specific situation where the boost node would win there. But if it's a level 5 or a level 10 boost node that has 3 skills that you actually use, then it's probably more viable than just an extra skill node. especially because of how many slots you can get pretty quickly. So it's kind of like finding that sweet spot. So in the beginning, you want to make sure that you put all of the skills you can possibly get on as few boost nodes as possible. So the advised boost node in the beginning is like the one that you have on top, Azura's Anger, Blade Fury, and Phantom Blow, so that you can do both mobbing and bossing. Like Azura's Anger you can use for both, right? Phantom specifically your main bossing, Blade Fury your main mobbing, but then you have like good utility for both mobbing and bossing in one trio, and that's why that's a really good starting trio. You just have 2 boost nodes, and then you're both good in mobbing and in bossing. But the further you go, the more you want to invest into other things like Blade Clone, like what was that AoE skill again that you mentioned?
Blade Fury and Sudden Raid.
Sudden Raid and the other one, just to kind of like even out, like make the mobbing a little bit better as well. And at that point, you kind of want to move specifically to what you mentioned in the beginning, to bossing nodes and more mobbing nodes. And you will have more, because at that point you don't need to boost Azura's Anger for mobbing because it'll one-shot anyway, right? It doesn't need to do more damage.
Yeah.
So it can be specifically in a bossing node, just like Phantom Blow, because you're not going to use that when mobbing at all, and Blade Clone you're not going to use that when mobbing either, or if you use it, it's not necessary that it's boosted, right? So at that point you want to move 2 tri-nodes specifically to just have all the bossing stuff, and then 2 to have specifically all the mobbing stuff, so that at any given time there's only 2 slots used by boost nodes and everything else can be skill nodes. So you can throw in like decent Holy Symbol, decent Sharp Eyes, decent Speed Infusion, maybe even a level up skill. Some people put Blink in there early, your Bind, right? So you have Goddess Blessing, so you have room for all of those burst skills earlier in bossing and for extra utility skills in mobbing. So your setup now is really good, because the top one, it can, and I don't know if you're familiar with, because if the top skills were bad composition, you would have to, you'd have to extract them, and extracting gives you low, right? But you can keep these setups because your top skill determines what you can use it for. So right now this is great because you're boosting your Blade Fury and your Phantom Blow, which are 2 of your very important skills, 3 times each, which is nice because you can get more efficiency from the low levels. But one thing I would definitely change is put these boost nodes into level 5 slots and not into the low level slots that you have them in.
Wait, I think this was
or maybe you've already done that. That's possible.
Yeah, like this was for before bossing, so I thought like I have problem like really using the damage of maybe not Azura's Anger, but Phantom Blow, and I have the problem like to really put the damage with Phantom Blow while bossing, so I just went for the 5th job skill because it's really easy to trigger them. So
so you're talking about like more positioning and stuff.
Yeah, this was for purely bossing. Like when I'm mobbing, I get more, like I get the Blade Fury to the level 5 slots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because if you have, so your current final damage with this for Phantom Blow, it's 24, 12, 18, so that's 58. But if you put them all in the leveled up slot instead, that's 13 levels more, so 26 extra. So then you get to 84% bonus damage, final damage. So since, again, like your skill nodes are definitely important because they have short cooldowns and you use them a lot. But as you get better at the bosses and we get better at the positioning, and percentage-wise more of your damage is going to come from Phantom Blow, you will start using that skill quite a lot. So then it would be more efficient. Again, like for mobbing, actually, it would almost make more sense to put them into the leveled up slots if you're going to a high level area where you need that skill to one shot, because you're not really going to use the regular mobbing skills as much anymore. But then the mobbing need to be more in the leveled up, the boost nodes need to be more in the leveled up slots for bossing, because they're percentage wise they're going to take up a bigger percentage of your damage because you're using those skills all the time. And the individual gains is final damage on those boost node skills versus just percentage damage on the skill nodes, which is not going to be as much of an impact.
Okay, makes sense.
But again, you're only going to try to do everything in 2 boost nodes, right? So there's still going to be skill nodes that end up in boosted slots pretty quickly. So that's more like, way in the beginning if you're like 210 or 215, right? But now you're already in 220s, 225 soon. You're going to have a lot of slots and a lot of leveled up slots. So it's not as important now, but just like in a general priority. And if you're looking for another character as well.
Yeah.
And then your burst. So Did you have any other questions, like specific? So okay, hang on. To go back to the boost node, so that means that eventually, that top node probably want to see if you can find one that has, instead of Blade Fury, has Blade Clone in there, right? And then that would be your bossing node. For the second one that has, is it the upper stab and the I already forgot the name again, but you know what I mean.
Blade Ascension.
Yeah, Blade Ascension and the AoE, there together with the Blade Fury as one of your part of the second trio. And then your third one would be, instead of Blade Fury, we'd have Azura's Anger in that one. That would be the way that you can transform these into your final perfect tri-nodes without having to extract anything. And then you just need the
2
fourth
slots for bossing, 2 slots for mobbing.
Exactly. And then the last one would be either starting with Blade Ascension or with the AoE, and then have Blade Fury and the other one that wasn't in there. And then you're done. Then you have your 4. But it's this setup is fine for now because you're double boosting your most important skills, and the Azura's Anger, that's missing a little bit of damage definitely when you're bossing, but this is pretty close to and perfect to transition in. So I definitely don't want you to feel bad about what you have right now. This is really good transitional boost nodes, I guess. It gets a little bit confusing. Some characters just like pick these three, and then just send. You know, it's more straightforward. But you have a lot of skill nodes later that you want to use. You've got like the is it like the advanced dark side or some shit, and then the the prepare to die and all that stuff, and the goddess blessing. You have so many more bursting skills, right, that you want to get in there. So the more your boost nodes are clustered, the better, because those skills will make your burst just pop.
I mean, I guess I still need to like learn some of the thief dual blade mechanics, because I really don't really know like a lot of the things, how to use my dark side correctly and things like that. I guess now it's not that important because really the bosses are not that hard. Like maybe
you can
when
brute force it a little bit,
yeah. So like I can have shit mechanics and still be able to do something. But eventually, I will have to get into these ones too.
Yeah, one of the things that Darkseid is really good at, for example, in Queen, if you're taking the damage, right? The damage every few seconds. If you're Darkseid, you just don't take the damage. It's really, really nice. And just in general, bosses that have stuff falling from the sky, you just jump into it with Darkseid. It doesn't do any damage. It just disappears.
So HMAG.
At the end of Von Bond, the things that fall. Yeah. A lot of mechanics. Basically every other boss fight that comes after this, there's always going to be some stuff falling from the sky, like Lotus, Hard Lotus. You can just the dark side jump through all of it.
That's nice.
Yeah, there's even like bombs in Lucid, I believe. If you go into your owl thing, your Asura's Anger, I don't think it does any damage. There's some weird mechanics with Asura's Anger as well, because you have like knockdown resistance, right?
I'm not sure, but maybe.
I think so. Yeah, but definitely, the DB Discord could definitely help you out. I don't know if you're connected with that.
Is it from like your Discord?
Well, my Discord
class.
has links to all the existing class Discords, so they're not specifically mine, but I made links to them so that people can find them more easily. Oh yeah, the rifts in Papalatus, the big blue things on the ground, you can just stand in those in Darkseid. Once you get to Will, there's like webs on the ground that kill everything, you can just walk through it in Darkseid.
Yeah, that's nice.
There's a lot of good stuff coming from the kit. So the last thing I would say about the VMatrix is, so probably move the boost nodes over to the highest level slots, right? I think overall, especially once you get better at the boss fights, you'll see better results that way. The other thing is the decent combat orders is nice, but I don't think decent combat orders, usually you don't see it until like at least a row lower in the grid. Even if you're bossing, I would either put decent speed infusion or decent sharp eyes in there. Decent speed infusion can definitely still give you an extra rank of attack speed, even with the green pot to hit your max attack speed, which means that you're just gonna perform all your attacks a little bit faster and be able to jump around more easily. And decent sharp eyes, even if you don't 100% need the critical rate right now, it also gives you 8% critical damage, which is a really valuable stat. Because if you look at your total critical damage early on, typically is very low, right? Yours is at 29% here when you're buffed, so you get an extra 8% to that. That's a really big chunk of extra critical damage, and critical damage is a good damage multiplier. So those both will be way more efficient for you at this point than decent combat orders would be.
Okay. Which one was the attack speed? The one that you said?
A decent speed infusion kind of looks like a like a white blue ball.
Oh, okay.
They changed the looks of
I
it.
have it.
Yeah, this one.
Okay. Yeah, good.
And yeah, they'll just help you also, like when you're mobbing, to jump around the map just a little bit better. Maybe the animation is just a little bit faster, so when you fall, you're not like still in an animation. That happens sometimes. Or with the Blade Ascension, maybe, that you can actually perform it a little bit faster and actually get on a platform a little bit easier, maybe. It can be like small things like that.
Yeah, I think like I had like also trouble dodging some things because I was still casting some things.
It could be just enough to get you out of it instead, and then that's just the difference between being alive and being dead. Yeah, that's really mainly what attack speed is really useful for.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, but other than that, you're doing well. And if you get to a point where you feel like the leveling is slow, but you want to throw a bunch of extra skill nodes in, you know, to make your burst better, to be able to nuke those bosses, at that point it's probably a good idea to maybe unlock 1 or 2 extra slots. But early on, yeah, I think it's probably more expensive than than it's good for you. So it's okay to just wait for the 5 levels and just get the next one more organically. Door you can safely disassemble, and Hyperbody as well. I see you hang on to those.
Yeah, I didn't even know like what I should disassemble and what I should keep. So.
Door and all the other stuff gets useful, but Door and Hyperbody are just never useful for you, so you can safely just extract those. And to an extent, the decent skills, if you know that you're going to be using auto buff, then you can just leave them at level 1 as well. It's no problem.
Okay.
You can choose to level them much later, you know, once you're rolling in the nodes, but early on, you know, all the nodes are valuable, all the shards are valuable, so.
Yeah, so that's also something that I wanted to ask. Like, I think I made a mistake using my XP nodes on my Blade Tempest.
I see. Okay, that's why it was so high level. Yeah, I was wondering.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure like if it's a mistake because it made me burst spear.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad because you have more. You're more kind of in a DPM build, and that's really your only burst skill. So to get more value out of your burst, you do want to get that level. What a lot of people will do is they'll early on put it in like decent holy symbol more to get that to a high level, so you can get more EXP and more drop rate for even more nodes. But it's definitely not a bad idea. It's definitely not bad or anything.
So that's what like I wanted to ask. Like now I have, if I go to the node master, I think I have like almost 1k of shards sitting, and I am about, well, not soon, but I started the double XP nodes week, or what is it, 10 days from the Stella Pass. So I'm about to have like a lot of XP, and maybe I will be able to crafting some more. So I wonder like where should I put it. So
for crafting, I would work on the boost nodes, and for the EXP nodes, I would specifically look at the skill nodes.
But like right now, I'm kind of afraid to really boost one of the skills, because if my perfect try nodes is gonna be, you know, different top or something like that, which I don't really
you
have.
kind of want to ignore that. You want to look for. So one of those 2 last boost nodes that you need for mobbing, right? And one of those 2, whichever one it is, and then just these 3. That's what you want to ideally look for. Yeah, just to like narrow the search. And if you find your perfect try starting with with like Phantom Blow or something, that would be a little bit annoying. It's not the end of the world, but then you'd have to basically extract the last one. That's level 6. That's not too bad. You can overwrite the blade clone. I would say like level 6 or 7, it's not too bad to extract. But if you go beyond that, then it feels, the shards you get back is like nothing. It's kind of shitty. You think he has boost nodes and skill nodes backwards in his head?
Yeah, I guess I didn't understand the final damage thing. I get more value of the boost nodes. So now I think I have it.
Because they improve, final damage 2% per level. And especially if you put it in a leveled up slot, that's 5 levels, 10%, boom.
Yeah, so that's big.
Yeah, and a skill node doesn't go up by 10% final damage. It goes up by a percentage, but never by 10% of the total that it already has, just for 5 levels. It usually is about doubling in damage for the from 1 to 30. It usually about doubles. Whereas for the boost nodes from 1 to 30, it goes times 2.2, right? Like plus 120%. So it's a bigger multiplier in total.
Yeah, that's okay. It's good that we covered it, because
yeah, there's always some small things and just some nuances. Not any like major mistakes, and your boost nodes are definitely in a good position, but just to know what your options are, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I guess here the rest that you have here is Legion and Link skills. Did you have any questions on that?
I think like Legion-wise, I don't really know like. Now I think I don't have to think so much because I just need to get like, I don't know, to 3, 4K as soon as I can, because I've seen how effective it is. Like getting the Hoyang link really helped me mobbing, and in addition I got some ID, so I really got a lot of like advantage of it. But now I think I need to get the the other grids, like the boss damage and the ID and critical damage. So I think I really have to work on levels and not like because now I'm thinking how I get my dual blade, the strongest. So maybe it's not the best to get a crit rate because I'm gonna sit on mostly 100% while mobbing. So maybe I want.
It depends on what your goal is for your Legion. So if your goal is to just have like 3 or 4K Legion and then stay there, then you want to pick the ones now that just make your dual blade the strongest. But if you eventually want to go 6K, 7K, 8K, it's the best to just get those fundamentals done, even if it is crit rate, even if it doesn't directly help your Blade Master, because it's gonna help the characters that would help your Blade Master. And their levels will still count. And once you get to 2K, you get the bigger grid, right? You get into critical damage, you get into boss damage, into IED, 3K, 4K, 5K, 6K. The way you want to look at like growing your Legion and those characters is not so much. It's like their individual Legion buff, right? And their individual Link skill, but it's also unlocking the bigger grid and giving you the grid bonus as well. Because right now you have 11 characters, right, that count for Legion, which means you have 29 more that you can add. So if you make 29 more level 100 characters, right, that's 2.9k Legion. Now you're at 4.7. And it's just power in numbers there. And then you get all of those to 120, you get all the level 2 Link skills, you're at 5k Legion, and then 5 to 6 is going to be a fucking breeze. I mean, once you get to 2k, once you get to 3k, every new character you make is just going to be like level 100 in no time. It's just going to roll there. Because of the crit rate, because of the crit damage, and because of the EXP buffs, it's just going to level in no time. It keeps one-shotting all the way up until 120, and it's just all a joke. And you'll start feeling that. And then once you get past 2k, 3k Legion, you'll basically move away from the middle of the grid and move more to the sides, because the side sets are going to be more important, right? Crit rate, crit damage, IED, boss damage is where everything is going to be. And if you're really strong when you're mobbing, you can also do bonus EXP. And if you need extra damage when you're mobbing, you can go into normal damage.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, crit rate specifically for the grid and for the Links and Legion is not the most important for your Blade Master, but it's important for everyone else. Because like I said, Blade Master has that advantage, right, for the high IED and the high crit rate, but everyone else struggles a lot with those. Yeah,
so I was like wondering what I should do like long term, like because getting the crit ones after I got the Phantom, I could just feel it. The next character that I had, I already felt like a big difference. So
if you see non-crits, you just know that you're like slapping them with a towel instead of with an actual weapon. It's like going for the drop in the Meso Gear. Like if you don't go for the drop in Meso Gear, it feels like you can make more gains in the short term, and you can, but there's just going to be a certain point where you get surpassed by people who didn't do it that way. And it depends on if you're going for like a short or mid-term approach or for a longer-term approach.
Yeah, so now like I think I already declared that I go for the long term because I started the marksman.
You're set now. You have to keep going. You're familiar with the links command that I have with all the crit and stats? Yeah. So feel free to do it however you want to, but just if you're wondering about a stat, then you can find.
Yeah, that's a great table. I was looking for one at the beginning, and it was very, very nice to find.
Yeah, when I was looking, you could find like, oh, these are like the best link skills to pick on a certain character, but I'm like, depending on the situation and depending on, but nobody really seemed to put link skill value and grid value, like member value together, because, you get both of them, right? So if 1 + 2 is, or 1 + 1 is better than 2, than another one. Maybe you can have a worse link, but a way better member bonus. Then I think it would be a higher priority. So that's why I smashed them together. I think it helped a lot of people so far to kind of see through the bullshit. And
it was so stupid to try and find something nice to look it, in a nice way. It's really nice.
Okay. So Legion links is all good. You know what you're burning. You know what you're aiming for. What you're selecting.
Yeah, I already finished burning. I did Evan and Shade. Shade was terrible leveling, so and I wanted the crit damage. I think these are the best value I can get for my Blade Master.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah. Is the Mercedes doing the Star Bridge and stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I'm on my way to 10. And I wanted to ask, how big is the Aaron link skill? Because
yeah, it kind of depends. You'll hear some people not be too happy about it. I like it a lot, but so there's technically a complete breakdown when it comes to is it more efficient to hit every monster? The most efficient, if you could choose, is to kill every single monster individually by itself. Because then every 50 monsters you would get an orb, and it would scale up, if you train longer on the same map. And you would get way more bonus experience than if you... The alternative would be to kill a lot of monsters at once. If you kill a lot of monsters at once, your combo builds slower, right? Because if you kill 10 monsters at once, it just builds one combo. If it's with the same skill. But then you get combo kill bonus, and that's why in your screen you get multi-kill, right? Then you get a little bit of bonus EXP. But there's a sweet spot with how many monsters per time you could kill, so that you could still build your combos quickly and still also get some of the combo. There's people did a whole dissertation on that shit. Turns out it's not that really fucking important. What matters is that if you have a character that kills stuff very separately from each other, then to make sure that you definitely have the Aaron Link skill on. I like the Aaron Link skill because a lot of times you're mobbing, you're moving through the map, and you're just walking through the orbs. If you have a vac pet and you have a character that doesn't move around a lot, you don't want to have to go out of your way to find the orbs. That's a little bit annoying. But if you have a mobile character, you're dashing around, you're just gonna fly into them. It's quite a lot of wow, someone is smoking weed. Jesus, it's wafting into my house. I'm breathing it in. Jesus. Okay. Oh yeah. So I like it in general because, like I said before, if you're really strong enough, your hyperstats, you're just putting everything in EXP, and you might as well not put the rest of the points in, right? The same way you look at your link skills. Let's say that there's just one link skill that is nice and it gives you some damage, but it doesn't really add much. What if you could put the Aaron link skill in there instead and just get some bonus EXP sometimes if you jump into an orb? Every little bit of EXP is helpful there. So it's probably not as high a priority to get to 210, but I like it, and I always build around it.
Okay. Yeah, it was nice leveling him, so I think getting into 210 is not...
Yeah, it has got good base damage on the skills, right? So it's also not... Yeah, compared to the Evan and the Mercedes, it's not as... Yeah, I think most people will agree.
Mercedes was I just used the potions, and then I just...
Yeah, I
ended up 180, and I was like, oh man, do I burn it for 20 levels?
More potions.
And because I used the potions, I didn't even have gear, so
oh yeah, you can't kill anything. Yeah.
I was trying to train, and I was dying 1-2 shots from mobs.
You have level 140 gear at 180. You can't expect to kill anything, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So just rare candy them all the way up.
It was so terrible, man.
Well, now he's in a better place, and then at 210 he's going to be in the best place, which is retirement.
Yeah. Definitely.
No hate towards all of the Mercedes mains, okay? Just most people just can't. It's not their thing, okay? You guys are superior gamers, all right? Cool. Then we can get to the equips.
Yes.
I guess the main thing. So when it comes to equips and everything we talked about, and how you progress and everything, a lot of the stuff comes down to, I think, to just in general the dailies and how you. We know about the equips. We talked about a little bit about where you focus on. Getting the drop in the meso stuff, and the and looking into getting the. Hang on, I need to get a timestamp for you so you can double check the things later. Where you kind of focus on. Okay, WSE. Drop rate meso gear, making money, getting backups, star forcing on everything, not safeguarding if you don't have to, safeguarding if you have to, getting everything to 17, getting everything caught up, working on Gollux, once Gollux is in, getting the Sweetwater stuff, Gollux plus Sweetwater for damage, everything else stays drop in Mesogear, 2 separate sets, everything to 17, everything to Legendary 2 lines, kill Lotus and Damien, work towards Arcane. Basically, that's the whole that's the whole shebang, right? But prioritizing was your main question, right? Yep. But say what you want to say, yeah.
Yeah. So one thing is I don't really know how far I should go. Let's say. I mean, now I probably won't have much money after the DMT for star forcing, so I get a bit of an extension. But I really don't know what I should and what I shouldn't star force because, people keep telling me, oh no, wait for your Abzo and wait for some other things. And like my secondary, my Katara, people say, no, don't star it because you're gonna transfer hammer Fafnir weapon to it.
Well, you want to transpose the not transfer hammer.
Transpose? Yeah. I still need to get into these things because I was not paying attention because for me it was, oh no, this is late game stuff. I'm not there. And slowly, I think I'm getting there.
Yeah. So when people say star forcing, it's like when someone says, I'm going to be bossing. Sometimes that means they're just going to do like CRA and blow it up in 10 minutes. And sometimes it means that they're doing like hard lucid and hard will at level 245, It's kind of same thing with star forcing. You can safely get single thing you get to like 10, 11, or 12, and it'll be totally fucking fine. But past 12 is where it gets a little bit spooky because of the cost, but also because of the possibility for boom. So then you're talking about like backup territory. If you're doing like a completely full, clean, solo progression, whatever, you're going to be pushing things further than someone who is either getting carried, someone who's doing party composition, someone who has a bigger Legion and Link already and it's their 3rd or 4th character. These people are going to invest less in every piece because they don't have to, because they're getting carried by those other stats, right? That's the idea behind all of that. So if you get like your guitar to 12 or maybe even to 15 or 17 on your very first guitar, there's no problem with that, but you typically don't want to go past 17. And if you ever want to go that far, you want to make sure you have backups so you never have to safeguard this, because this is one of those equips, just like CRA, where you can get a lot of backups. So safeguarding is just purely a waste of money. And if you throw it into the calculator, you can see that. You can see what is the average chance of booming without safeguarding, like how much am I going to spend on average, and it's just way lower without safeguarding than with. But the main problem is the booms. But you can get backups. So if you can get backups, always save money, never safeguard, right? That's why, it's also a good idea to start with Sun Mercy early so you can get a lot of Dineros so that later you don't have to safeguard. You basically, the time that you spent over the little bit of time that you spent, but then over a lot of days, that can come back to you in forms of money, in terms of like an insurance to not having to safeguard. But that's when your min-maxing and your time management comes in. Depending on how much time you have in every day, it might make more sense for you to skip some dailies and do some more higher priority stuff, and then just, wait for an event and then just safeguard just to be safe that you get it and make sure that you get it, but then save 5, 10, 15 minutes every day on a bunch of dailies, which ends up saving you a whole bunch of time in the long run, right? That's
this is something that later on I want to also figure out is what is the best, let's say, to prioritize things, that if I cannot do anything everything every day, then I know where to put my energy on.
Yeah, I would say top priority is symbol dailies, right? Because of the arcane power, you want to keep up with that. And then anything that gives you nodes, that's important. So if there's an event going on with the event shop, try to cap, but a lot of times you can do part of that while you're doing symbol dailies, right? So there's some overlap usually. And then I would say the third important thing is, I had it in my head and now I fucking lost it. Hang on. I'm thinking. Is weeklies and just anything that gives you access to drops that have a very, very low drop rate. So with weekly bosses, and then probably by extension like normal arc, for example. If you have a little bit of time, always try to do normal arc. Just chance of primal, chance of dominator. You're going to need a lot of those. So the more attempts, and maybe, but most of that overlaps with weeklies, right? Like CPAP and all of that other stuff. Just anything that can give you fodder. Because if you have some time here and there to do totems and to make money, especially once you have the drop in Meso gear, and you've done your weeklies, then you have backups, and then you have something to do. But if you miss out on one of those, if you have backups but no money, you can't do anything. If you have money and no backups, you can't really do anything either. You can Star Force up to 17 and safeguard, but then you're super stuck, right? And that's why people are saying, some people are saying don't Star Force yet, don't do this yet, don't do that yet. Because if you balanced grow your way up, there are some things that you can just safeguard to 17 and it's fine. Some things you want to wait for backups. Some things you want to do fodder and do that way with safeguard without, just from an optimization point of view. It's totally okay for someone to be like, I just don't have too much time. Eventually, I'm just going to have everything full 17 starred and get it to legendary. Maybe 2 lines, maybe 2.5 lines, and I'll do like Lotus and Damien solo, and like Lucid and Will, maybe hard Lucid and normal Will in a party. And that's kind of as far as I'm going to get in this game. That's totally fine, and you can do all of that stuff. And that's probably the most efficient and the least, brain rotting way of having to look at everything, and just very straightforward, and you don't have to overthink it. If you're trying to optimize, when it comes to the Katara, yeah, probably get it to 12 or so, then just get a bunch of backups. Once you get enough to make a sweet water Katara, you want to have to not safeguard that one, so you have backups there. Eventually, before you transpose, you want to get to 16 stars and transpose at 16. And when you transpose, you take the potential from the starting item into the target item. So if you already have a Katara that's really good, you're just going to fully replace it, probably with the Fafnir transposing into a clean one. If your existing one isn't that good yet, you might as well transpose over it, and then just continue on the item itself, so you don't have like an extra one sitting in your inventory that doesn't really do anything. That's kind of up to you.
Now with the DMT, I should get one with legendary slot, right?
Yeah, so that's kind of the question is there. Do you need the damage? Because it's also possible that you get it to unique, you get good lines on it, and you definitely get your emblem to legendary and get good lines on your emblem, and then work on your accessories, and maybe that in total can be enough damage. Because, for example, if you can get it to unique and get like 17% attack or something, like 2 lines attack, that's already a huge upgrade compared to now as well. And then not only do you not have to spend the extra 500 mil of tearing it up, and you can roll it with Master Craftsman, which is also way cheaper than rolling it with red cubes, right? But also, once you roll over it, you won't lose as much primary investment. So for secondary, I think it's okay to get it like 12-star, unique, 2 useful lines, but mostly put a lot of pressure on your emblem and trying to get maybe a line of IED, but mainly lines of attack on the emblem. That's going to give you a lot of damage compared to the damage and the luck that you have on there now.
Okay.
So I would say so probably unique secondary, legendary emblem, and then I would try to get as many legendary accessories as you can, starting with the ones that are already the highest rarity, because those are the closest to being legendary. So probably starting with your flame ring. And it will suck a little bit that you're getting rid of some of the luck that you already have, but the sooner you switch over, the better. Because if you're switching from epic straight up to legendary, you're going to break even or even gain stat. You're going to go from 6 to 6 or to 9 stat on top of the drop in the meso, most likely.
Yeah, probably.
And again, that's not where you want to...
also have my emblem and secondary.
Exactly. They have to pick up the slack. The secondary emblem, your nodes, and your arcane power. That's where you need the damage to come from. And maybe a slightly better flame on your weapon, but that's that depends on if you have like access to eternal flames and all that stuff, right?
I have some. Yeah, I have like.
Because the 45 and 6 is definitely useful. That takes it over just the 59 attack, right? But I think for your weapon. Let me see the 68, 192 base. Can you hear my neighbors or?
Not really.
Okay.
Like when you said it, I could hear something.
Oh yeah,
but
okay.
Not really.
Yeah, so that's 18 extra attack, but you've got a 45 and 6. Yeah, so it's like a 105 worth. And if you got just 18. Yeah, this is pretty. Yeah, what you have now is worth more than just a tier 6. So this is good. If you're gonna roll over and you're gonna roll tier 6, you need to roll tier 6 plus something, right? Plus a line of boss damage, for example. like a tier 4 or tier 5 boss with a tier 6, that would be ideal.
Yeah.
Then you can
And
definitely
also,
hold on to it.
my weapon, my fake Abzo, I want to get to legendary, possibly, or...
No, you can't roll the potential. You can only work on flame. The Star Force and the potential is locked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is
Okay.
negative if you want to spend money, but it's positive because you immediately get it, and then you also don't have to worry about it, so you can just focus on other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, that's why I didn't mention the potential, because otherwise we definitely would, right? Yeah, we would try to get attack lines, because this potential is nice to start off with, but it doesn't scale very well, because if you don't need the crit rate, and if you're attacking regular monsters, you're just getting 9% damage, which is basically no potential.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
just the flat stats, yeah. But that's
and I
also...
think now
Yeah.
I'm gonna shift my focus to mobbing and actually getting like, you know, to 30 or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, then you get to hopefully eventually, well, you get eventually to Lucid, and then you can start working towards the arcane weapon.
Yeah.
And then once you get potential on that, that's going to be a huge job.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. But then you don't even realize that you were kind of holding yourself back the whole time. But then once you feel that upgrade, you really feel a lot stronger, right? Like you felt with the IED, you really just notice that everything is just hitting harder and you're doing way more damage. And if you can get used to like a baseline that's good enough, and then you can make a really big upgrade, it's going to feel so much better to make that upgrade. And it's going to be more efficient, because if you do a lot of small upgrades, it's less efficient because every single upgrade will just be more costly per unit of getting stronger. But also you're going to feel it less because it is a smaller upgrade, so it's not going to feel that rate of progression that you talked about in the beginning with the bosses. You're not going to notice that as much. So the combination, but you need patience. You need patience and time for it. But then if you have those two, you can really feel the difference.
So in your opinion, I should skip getting myself real Abzo and just go straight into arcane in the future?
Well, for the weapon, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say so, yeah.
Okay.
For the other pieces, you want to move into Abzo because you know the pieces you have. And like the people said, like, you know, don't go too far into Star Forcing. For this stuff, it's fine because you have the 140, like both for the, for the bottom line here, right? For the belt and the shoe and the glove. You can transfer hammer into level 150 stuff and then into the 160 stuff. So all of that value will get saved. The main thing that people were talking about with the Abzo is if you do the potential immediately, you're locking yourself into having to safeguard and Star Force on the Abzo. Because when you transfer hammer over, the potential gets rolled over and gets cut back down to epic, whatever the source was of the beginning item. So it's not like transposing where it keeps the tier of the potential, but so it's kind of different. So transfer hammer keeps the lines, but not the quality of the lines, so not the tier of the lines. So if you have like 1299 intellect or something and you roll it into epic, it'll come out as like 666 epic. But if you have 1299 legendary and you transpose, it'll stay legendary, but the lines will get rerolled. So then it's not very useful to roll early either because you'll lose those lines anyway. But if there's an MMT and you're close to transposing, you might tier up early because transposing will keep it. And then, you know, you save that 500 mil or so that it would cost otherwise. But with Abzo, people will say not to do it because then you can't transfer hammer the fodder over anymore, which if you do that, right, you get level 140 or maybe level 150 gear. You don't safeguard, you get it to 15, hopefully during a 30% off event. And then, or, you know, if the Shining Star Force happens that has 30% off and 5, 10, 15, hopefully, then you get it up to 15. And then you tap it up to 16, hopefully during 5, 10, 15 or Shining Star Force again. And then get it into 15 Abzo, get the 15 to 16 Abzo again, 100%, and then just safeguard the last star. That saves you about 500, 550 mil per equip that you do that with, which is about how much you would save if you use MMT versus not using MMT. So it's about a net wash. So the main difference is needing to do the Scrapyard and Dark World Tree extra for backups if you don't want to have to safeguard, or spend the extra money in safeguarding and clicking the box every time, which is annoying as fuck when you're Star Forcing. So that's why some people would say, don't do it yet, or sure, do it, you know. That's kind of the decision there. So I'm not telling you what to do. I would do the fodder way, but, you know, that's the implication is just that as long as you know what you're getting yourself into and you're okay with one over the other, then you can commit whatever you want.
Where can I get, like, level 150 gear?
Ranmaru is the easiest the easiest place to do that. I put the Star Force command and the transfer hammer. I would advise to watch the transfer hammer video, because it talks about transfer hammering and transposing, how you can use it in the game, and like what things you want to prioritize on when you are trying to plan for the next stage of the game, right? When you're trying to build your fodder, build your backups. And that'll help you prioritize those dailies as well. So a lot of that will overlap with what I said with like the weeklies and things like Arcarium. And it'll help you make sure that you don't miss out on any of those vital things, those vital backups. Like, you know, it's mainly the Dominators and the Kana treasure rings, right, from Princess Node. Those are just really time-gated and important to just give yourself as many attempts as possible to get those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So yeah, now like for the short aim, for the MMT, probably I should get my emblem to legendary.
Yeah.
Then work on my rings.
Yeah, I'll do the Katara to unique, so you can roll with Master Craftsman and get more attack out of it.
Yeah.
And the emblem to legendary, yeah. And then I would say the accessories, yeah.
Okay.
And just try to get as many to legendary as you can, and then roll for drop or mezzo. As soon as you hit drop or mezzo, move to the next piece, and then aim for the exclamation mark drop rate, what you're aiming for, right? Like 5 lines of mezzo, 4 lines of drop. That combination over your 9 pieces of accessories.
But do I for my accessories right now, I should focus on like because some of them I'm gonna change some of them, so you know.
Yeah, but when are you gonna change, and what are you gonna change them into?
Yeah, I mean the rings I'm probably gonna keep for a while. Like in the beginning, I thought that I'm not gonna keep them because you can't Star Force them. But I figured out later on that they are already like 15-star equivalent or something like that. Somebody told me.
Yeah, it's more 17. Yeah, maybe 17. A little bit stronger than 17 even. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is again, it's just like the lock potential for the Abzo is basically just a lot of value up front, and eventually it gets outscaled. But until it does, it's a lot of free damage immediately. So you can definitely hold on to these for that. And eventually then they become drop in Mezzo gear again, right? So then they're already prepared for that.
Yeah, okay. So except for the ring, other accessories that you think I should try and get to legendary? Or because if everything, because it's going to be a drop gear eventually? Okay.
Yeah, drop mezzo set eventually. So usually people will have these 3 and then maybe like a Kana treasure ring. Or maybe they can get already a Gollux ring, maybe like a solid ring or something. Sometimes people get the Treasure Hunter John's ring from a short quest line in NLC. Or maybe get, you know, people get carried on Helix and get like the Superior Gollux ring. And any 4th ring will do mainly. You're just there for the functionality, and the fact that you have 2 of the strong event rings is already really good. They're really strong, and there's also more event rings coming in the reward, right, from the Starlight Chariot. So if that one's coming later, but there's also the legendary scroll, right, in the Starlight Chariot. So if you're planning on using those, then that's okay too. Then you can just do with 3 rings for now, and that's fine. And for the other pieces, I think it's fine to use the boss accessory set. So just use the pieces that you already have. Condensed Power Crystal, Aquatic Letter, Eye Accessory, Diocitus Earrings. These are fine. The only thing you still need to get is pendants, right? Which, for most people, is going to be like Chaos Horntail necklace and the Machinator pendant like you have. It's most likely going to be those. One thing you can do is if you can't upgrade everything at once, but there is still stuff that you might be able to get better flames on, you could also just keep doing the dailies to try to get more pieces and maybe get one with better flame before you go all the way. Because whether it's already 10-star and epic or whether it's completely clean and rare, but it has a way better flame, that second item has more potential value, I would say. Because, you know, 10-starring is basically free, and in the getting from epic to legendary or getting from rare to legendary is also pretty much the same, right? So in a greater, so let's say that you get the other stuff. Let's say you get the rings done, and maybe the eye and the face done, and then you kind of run out of money. That's fine. And then I would just keep doing, you keep doing Arcarium. And if you get a Mechanator with like a way better flame than this one, for example, not that this one is really bad, but what if you had like a 40 and 4 or 40 and 6 or something crazy like that, then you can also just start on that one and kind of leave this one wherever it is. But if you don't get another one by then you can just upgrade this one and one at a time get them all up to legendary.
Yeah, well, my DMT is in few hours.
Well, good luck, dude.
So, yeah, so probably gonna have to. I mean, I hope I will be able to get
hopefully you can
as
power
much
through
of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said 2
And if not,
you said 2.5 mil? 2.5 bill?
I have now, yes, 2.5.
Yep, so hopefully that's 5 pieces with, you have 2 uniques, so hopefully 6 legendaries?
Yeah.
Hopefully,
I hope, like, if I get 6, then
and
it'll be
then
nice.
the last thing I definitely want to mention is that your flame on your cup is very, very bad. So if you're flaming anything, that's probably what I would prioritize to flame at this point.
The pink bin cup?
Yeah.
I actually just, like, maybe 20 minutes before we started,
Okay.
I will just tell you.
Yeah, show us.
It is now.
Show the stream.
It's 48 luck flame and 3% all stats.
Okay, well that is way better. You have my blessing to keep that.
Yeah, so I guess. Yeah. So flame-wise, like I have three flames now sitting. No, but I guess I can just use the calculator myself and be.
Yeah, as a general rule of thumb for using flames, if you don't have many, I would always kind of just wait until you have a little bit more of a bunch and until, the first one starts like blinking that it's going to expire soon, and then just use them in groups. That way you can have a better chance of making sure that if you downgrade, you don't downgrade by too much, and if you upgrade, or are more likely to make an upgrade, like neutral or plus.
Yeah.
And then once you do make a neutral or plus, then you just pause again and wait for the flames to kind of like accumulate again. Instead of, because if you slam every single one, there's a bigger chance that you just end up with a negative, and then that just mentally doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
Plus, the further you go, the worse a negative is, right? Because you can roll an actual 0. And if you're going from 20 flame score to 0, who cares? But if you're rolling from like 70 to 0, then now it's like,
fuck.
Yeah, like fuck, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I get it. So I just have to see. I think now I'm like in a good spot where they all expire around the same time. I used already the last ones that was about to expire, so...
Yeah, if you do all your weeklies cluster together, then the flames tend to expire around the same time.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yep.
I did everything. Okay, so that's nice. Oh, and re-rolling the event rings I will do with the melody coins. Is it something that I should use my coins for? If I have like on my mule accounts, I have some with coins.
Yeah, probably. I think it's probably a good idea to, you said you almost bought all of the nodes, that's good. And I probably save up for the legendary ring scroll. But apart from that, use the scrolls, use flames. That's mainly the valuable stuff that you can get out of it after those main things, I would say. And like the heart, right? The heart and the and an android for it, but the heart is too expensive for you to buy at this point, because then there goes all of your MMT potential.
Yeah, I thought to myself, the event still has some time, so eventually I will get
early
the heart.
September you can still buy it.
Yeah, exactly.
So no rush on that one.
Yeah, okay. Although it's tempting to just fill that slot, man.
Yeah, it is tempting, because it's one of the only ones that's still available, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe just the heart.
But
and the
I
Android,
guess
the last two.
Be patient about it.
Yeah, you have to, because otherwise you're basically buying the heart for double the price if you buy it now, because you would get double the value from your money if you use it in MMT instead. So you're almost paying 4 bill. And then you're paying 4 bill and you don't have any money to upgrade it, so it's just a dead in your slot. So it's not a smart idea.
Yeah. So with the melody coins from the other, like from my mules, if like, okay, so for my main I will try and get the scroll, let's say, because I am almost done with the nodes. Oh, by the way, the arcane symbols, do I want to go for them also?
I would say after, like, all the things we just mentioned, if after that you still have some left, you can go for arcane symbols, but I find them not as important, because if you're doing your dailies and you're seeing, like, okay, you do Vanishing Journey, that's 21 symbols a day, right? How many coins is that if you would, just for one day, to buy them, right? That's like 800, because, no, it's 20 each, I think? So it'd be like 420 coins, right? So that's like a day and a half of capping. Day, and then it's capped after a while, so it's after 100, so you can only buy 5 days worth, a little bit less than 5 days worth, for buying all of them out. So some areas might be better value, like Lachaline, for example, if you're not climbing the tower yet, but for the other areas it's typically pretty pricey, and if you just keep doing your regular daily, there's other stuff that worth more value, like like high level flames, like Eternals, if you need them for something, and like the event ring cubes, that kind of stuff. That's probably better value.
Okay, so in, let's say, in 20 days I can get 2 more rings from the event. But you can only use 3, right? Or you can wear 4, because I think there are only 3 kinds of the rings.
3 kinds, yeah, but the flame isn't one, so technically you could wear 4. You could have the Awake, the Tenebris ring, the Ustica ring, and the flame ring. You could have those 4.
Okay, yeah.
And
so
the flame ring was added, yeah.
Should I get both rings to my main, or like, I mean, I'm probably gonna work on my silver blossom ring now.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. If your brain is going a little bit into having a possible side character or boss mule, or having some other character also do something in the near future, I think 3 is probably a good amount, because then you have 3 silver blossom, and then you could also do, like, you know, like the Kana treasure ring could come in, and also eventually you want to go for Galax, and then the superior ring will start coming in, and they will all get the drop rate ring anyway, and then you have like Kana treasure, superior, Meister, reinforced, maybe slime ring. So there's a lot of options there. And if you get all of them on one character, even though in the short term it might be good, in the long term it might be not optimal. So I think if you have no other character on site that you think that you want to do anything with, it's probably fine to keep them on your dual blade. But if you think there's even one character that maybe, you know, in the near future you want to do something with, I think I would keep it to 3 and put one of that other character.
I'm more in the state of I don't know which I'm gonna do something with, but I have the Absolab weapon box sitting, waiting for.
Yeah, so we can get 2 items already, and now that makes it more alluring for a new character to pop its head up, because you can immediately get a lot more starting value, yeah. But you don't have to pick up the coupon for the ring immediately, right? So you can wait on that a little bit longer until you figure that out. Yeah, I think 3 is fine. 3, and then your 4th Libero slot can be filled with whatever runs around.
Hopefully the Golux one. Yeah, okay. So yeah, that makes sense.
All right. We're about at the end of the time. Do you feel like there's anything that you still need to double check on? Anything you still had questions about?
I think Commercy, I just wanted to make sure that I do the right thing.
Okay.
I do my PQ and I do the solo ones, but upgrading, like the picture is pretty basic, and it's like clear, but also in game I just want to make sure that I'm on the right path. Like, in order to get the Dreadnought ship, right?
Yeah.
Do I need to first be level 10, or like, because now if I go to the trading system I can go already to Lith Harbor, but my vessel is not the Dreadnought.
Yeah.
It's the cargo, and when I press rank up, it says that on level 10 I get the sailboat.
Yeah, so once you have the level here to level 10 maxed, you'll be able to rank up with the Narrows, and then you will go from the cargo skiff to the sailboat, and then the sailboat has to get up to level 10 again, and then the sailboat at level 10 ranks up to the Dreadnought. So it's like the 3rd rank boat is the Dreadnought you're looking for.
Okay. Yeah, so I didn't understand. Like, I said level 10, and now I see Okay.
Yeah, you see a different name, yeah. And also, when you get a new boat, it comes with full energy. So on the day that you rank up, try to use your voyages first and get the energy really low, and then upgrade so that you can do double the voyages on those 2 days.
Okay.
Get a little bit extra dineros.
Yeah, makes sense.
The really cool part about all this is that if you open this inventory here, oh, maybe they changed it actually. There was always a glitch with this where if you open the inventory, you had a bunch of items in here, and then if you opened up a bag, it would have that as a background. Oh, they changed it. Nah, damn. Glitch is gone. It will look like the arrow. Like this one. The whole inventory, but I guess they rip. Yeah, there's like a whole thing where you can buy items to use on the ship, but it's all really useless because your own attacks are like 1,000 times as powerful as anything they could do. So
when I just got to the first ones and I pressed the button, I was like, did something even happen? Like,
yeah, they don't even one shot, so it's like, okay, never mind. Yeah, it's only the flute is nice. That's a lot of extra attack, but yeah.
I think the only thing that I really have to now figure out is really what is the next gearing progression that I try to do, because Absolab is something that seems, I don't know, maybe it's only in my head, but seems kind of far away, and I have my penciler boots and gloves sitting basically like I'm not going to be able to do much with them. Same also for my shoulder slot. So like, is there anything I can do, like, I don't know, in my equipment wise, short term, that you can say, like, try to get, I don't know, new face, new eyes, new...
Short term, I would say, well, what we talked about, like short term, is going to be working on the potential. So it's going to be getting something good on the emblem, right? Ideally 2 lines of attack, and then ideally 2 lines of attack on the Katara as well, with in unique with Master Craftsman, and then getting a legendary on all of the accessories. Once you have all of that, your income is going to spike like crazy. And then you basically just want to look for whatever is the next Star Force event. If the next Star Force event is a 30% off, then you want to get things to 15. And you only get things to 15 if you're going to get them past 15, if you're going to get into 17. But for 15 to 17, you want to look for a 5 to 15 event, because then that's way cheaper. So what we're hoping is that the next event is going to be Shining Star Force event. So and as it comes to CRA, you could just, if you have enough backups, just send on CRA. However, you currently already have the 12-star epic temporary stuff, right? So it's not going to be as big of an upgrade, because you're probably not going to go to 17 on all of them, because that's going to be pretty expensive. I don't know if you can make that money back by then. But what you could do, for example, is just save backup pencilier shoes and gloves, so you can safely safeguard those, because they're already at 12, and get them for 12 to 15, and then just sit on 15. If it's a Shining Star Force, also get them to 16, and then maybe transfer hammer them into the Ramaru stuff. And then you can get those to 16 as well. And then if you have the Abzo, transfer it into the Abzo and get those to 16, right? So you just do +1, -1, +1, -1. And then if you don't have the money, you can sit on 16 Abzo. If you have the money, you can go to 17-star Abzo. But the reason that I would prioritize that over the CRA is because the next event might be another 5, 10, 15, might be another 30% off. But in both situations, it's okay to just sit on your temporary CRA for a little bit while, because the big thing that happens for CRA in the beginning, at least, is all of the base stats, the fact that you have 3 flames and the set bonus that's active. That's really important. It's only once you go to 17 that it's really big that they get a lot of attack as well, but the set bonus on Abzo is not in effect at all yet. So if you can get Abzo pieces in and you get Abzo set bonus in effect, now you're like double dipping in both of those set bonuses.
Okay, so one thing I think is the last thing that I want to cover is right now it seems like I know what I'm gonna do with cubing wise on the DMT, but after the DMT is over, like I have my permanent Root Abyss gear, which is best in slot at the moment, and probably for a long time. So
well, we've got Palos coming out soon. Gonna be new equips coming, new top and bottom, and hat.
Yeah, but that is gonna be like
a little
very
Yeah,
Very
little bit
later
of
one,
a,
I think.
yeah.
Yeah. So my question is like, do I prioritize right now star forcing with my Mesos, or do I want to maybe get the slots on my, you know, on my other permanent
Oh
like
yeah. No, you definitely
bands
want
and
to. So the short term TMT potentials, tier ups, stuff that we talked about. Midterm is going to be all Star Force. So it's all weekly bosses getting backups, foddering, or on the items, star catching or not, Star Force safeguarding or not, depending on the pieces. But it's all going to be Star Forcing until everything is 17, and then you circle back and then you work on potentials. For two big reasons. One is that there's probably not going to be a cube sale for a while, so there's no pressure on needing to start on needing to tier up or to roll. And second of all, there's probably Star Force events coming, so that's just more efficient. You get more money for your invest. In the same way, you know, the example of the heart, right? If you buy the heart now, you're basically paying double, so it's not a good idea.
yeah.
And Star Forcing is going to give you a lot of just a lot of value for your money, especially once you have the backups and if you're doing, you know, the right items at the right time.
Okay, so
Yeah. Because transfer hammering is in there as well a lot, right? Like with the Abso. So if you do potential first, then you have to do it again afterwards. So star forcing makes more sense.
yeah. So this is probably what I want to know.
Yeah, and same thing for superior gear, right? All of that you kind of want to transfer hammer into as well if possible. So like for the Pink Bean belt, Dominator pendant, Kana Treasure ring or Meister ring, and the what's the last piece? Oh, and reinforced earring into all of that into the superior pieces. If you have any of those pieces, again, that's in the transfer hammer video as well. But if you have any of those, you want to hold on to them. Hopefully you have a few during 30% off. Hopefully you don't have the safeguard. Try to get them up to 15. And then when you have the superior pieces, you can immediately move into them. And then, you know, they're past the bump of 15. And then you just have to hopefully just safeguard one 16 to 17, but probably a few. And then you can work on the potential, because then they're going to be, you know, they're going to be 17 for a while, because you're not going to go past 17 on Star Force for a long time. And the pieces where you are going to, that's going to be the CRA. But the CRA, you're going to go back up, so you're going to go on the pieces, you're not going to transfer, which means that they keep their potential because they're just going to boom and turn into traces, and then you just start up, right? So then you can push on the potentials there because it's going to stay on there and it's not going to get rolled over.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we covered it all.
I think so too. Any shout outs you want to do? Anything you want to say hi to your mom? Any? I don't know.
Well, probably not too much. If there are any people playing on the EU server, it would be nice to maybe get some community going, people in my current stage of the game or something like that. Would be nice.
So if anyone sees I had no name or add you to the buddy list in EU reboot.
Yeah, that could be nice, especially if there is someone that can actually teach me maybe the fine-tuning of the dual blade mechanics.
Dual blade, or do some bosses together duoing, who's in the same stage as you are.
Yeah.
Well, look, the other person not named well. It says I play EU reboot. Wow.
Okay.
It looks like that's your soulmate. I had no name and not named well together in EU reboot.
Yeah, okay. No, thank you very much for this session. It was very nice, very informative.
Okay, I'm glad. Well, I wish you the best of luck on your DMT in 30 minutes. Hopefully you get everything you wanted and more. And I'll see you around in the chat. And yeah, good luck on everything.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so if you guys liked that session, hopefully you picked up one or two or three things. If you are trying to get one of these sessions, make sure you check the description of the video on how you can get in contact with me for a one-on-one coaching session. And if you don't want to wait or you don't want to pay for that, then make sure you leave a comment saying that you would like to win a free session and that you and with your Discord name, so I can reach out, or you can, we can double check that you are indeed the winner. And I pick 2 winners every month, so you can get a free session with me as well. Other than that, make sure you check out the information in the description and check out the commands in the Twitch chat, where you can find all of this information that we went over. All of these commands are freely available to anyone over in the Twitch chat. where I stream every day. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop in. You can talk to any of these lovely people in the chat that you see here, throwing emotes out. And yeah, maybe you can find a friend, find someone to play games with, and or you know, maybe you run away screaming because fuck all those people. Whatever, you know, there's an opportunity there. Other than that, hopefully you guys having a good MMT, good tier-ups, and all of that. And I wish you guys all the best of luck with that. And there's a few things that for me, for my personal channel, that you guys could help me with when it comes to sponsorships and affiliates that I have. I'm going to put all of those in the description. I'm not going to do a whole segment on that here, but I'll put them in the description of the stream. One is for energy drink, one is for lowering your ping in the game if you have bad ping, and one is currently for Raid Shadow Legends. I'll just put those links in there if you want to help me out. If not, that's fine too. You know, if you have some time, I would appreciate it. But yeah, other than that, I would thank you guys for watching, and either I'll see you in the next video or maybe live on stream over at Twitch. Thanks for watching. Bye.